of 4.4, more or less, trillion, can we say that the cuts in the DPWH budget were realigned to other agencies, programs, activities, departments, and funds? Kindly inform the Senate which agencies, departments, or funds were augmented from the DPWH cut of 255.5 billion and for what purpose? And may we know the recommendations of the Committee on Finance on the said increases? That's so that we understand it, because people ask us, it was cut there was a recommendation, a list in the House GAB. The Senate is adopting the House GAB, or do we have another recommendation for the cut of 255? I stop there, but will pursue that after I hear the response of the chair. Thank you, Mr.
Let me just
President.
clarify. The question is, what happened to the
255.
The 255.
We actually talked about this in
Yes.
private. Mr. Chair, bear with me. I just wanted to be transparent.
Correct.
Yes, pero pinag-usapan na natin
Tama
yun,
po.
and I think I mentioned to you that I will ask this. Thank
Yes.
you, Mr. Chair.
The net was cut by 255 billion to be exact, by the House of Representatives, and it was reflected in the General Appropriations Bill. And the 255 was distributed in various departments in terms of increases. And they also have several decreases within the agencies. So in short, in 255 po, the 255 was spread to various agencies in the form of increases.
Yes, you're correct, Mr. President. Even some of our colleagues would be asking us in the process, saan napunta yung 255? Perhaps it would be best to put into the record, because from here up to the BICAM, it would change again. And I think we owe it to everyone to say where the 255 billion that was cut from that agency, where was it actually placed? I think we have a list of that. Thank
Mr.
you.
President, the good thing about this budget cycle is everything is uploaded. So
Yes.
the NEP is already available in the website of the DBM. The GAB is already available in the website of both the House and the Senate. And then our very own committee report is also available in the website. So you can now see the movements between the NEP, the GAB, and also the Senate committee report. There are a lot of changes in the GAB, but for example, I'll just cite some examples. This is in the GAB. The Department of Agriculture increased by 28 billion. The Department of Education increased by 39 billion. The increase. Neto, yeah. Increase. The Department of Health increased by 31 billion. So these are the large amounts. The Department of Labor increased by 13 billion. So marami mo siya, no? We're talking about DSWD increased by 36 billion. These are the bigger changes in the GAB, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President. I would like to clarify whether these items that you mentioned came from the cut from the flood control of the DPWH.
Yes, it came from
Yes.
that. That's the primary source, Mr. President.
Yes.
But in between, they have also cuts in the departments, Mr. President. But the primary source is that cut, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President. And what you put into the record are the realignments done from the flood control cut in the HGAB, or is the Senate version? Because did we take into consideration the realignments of the 255 from the DPWH cut, or is this the House list or the Senate list of where we put the 255? Just for clarity.
Just to add, another big change from the 255 is the PhilHealth subsidy to a tune about 60 billion, Mr. President. So those are the big, the changes I mentioned are the big ticket items that were taken from the 255, Mr. President.
The good chair, Mr. President, is referring to the list in the House GAB.
Yes, Mr. President,
Yes.
correct.
So that it's clear.
Yes.
The 255 was placed among others, but if you total that, it's not yet 255, but that's some of the items mentioned.
The big ticket
by Your
items,
Honor.
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President. Okay. So this 255 cut of DPWH, and I commend the chair for finding double items and those without coordinates. If I'm not mistaken, you found an additional 55 billion cut by the committee, and the realignment to DepEd for school buildings, for state universities and colleges, and for DOTR. May we know now how much is the infrastructure budget for 2026, which was pegged at 1.55 trillion in the NEP. What I'm asking is, if it was 1.55 trillion in the NEP, having realigned some infrastructure to other, perhaps soft, perhaps also infrastructure, is the Senate committee report also aligned with the infrastructure level in the NEP, Mr. President, or is it lower than?
Mr. President, in our computation, the infrastructure spending is about 1.4 trillion pesos, Mr. President. It was down from about 1.5 trillion pesos, Mr. President.
Thank you for that information, Mr. President. So just so that it's clear, in the NEP, it was 1.55 trillion, and in the Senate committee report, it is down to 1.44 trillion.
Mr. President.
Yes. Thank you for that information. May we know now, Mr. President, what are the measures, interventions that the economic team, the executive department will adopt to ensure that the GDP target growth of 5.5 to 6.5 as originally conveyed in our DBCC will be achieved, if at all. We realize and we know that they've tried to scale it down. We must find out, it's very challenging, almost near to impossible, that we must grow 7% in the fourth quarter to achieve the 5.5% growth rate, which was originally targeted by the end of the year. So may we just come to reality and try to understand in this last quarter what growth are we targeting and what do we need, because if we are to recall our projections for 2025, we had projected a growth rate of 5.5. That means in this fourth quarter, because of the lag of the previous quarters, we'd have to grow 7%, which is, I think, very unrealistic and near to impossible. Yes.
I agree, Mr. President. I think hitting 6%, even 6% for the last quarter, so it's impossible already, Mr. President. To date, For the first 3 quarters, we grew at around at 5%, and we're looking at hitting 5.5% by end of the year. So, but it's really a challenge right now, Mr. President, because of the weather conditions and also what happened in Visayas and also what the various natural disasters that we experienced, Mr.
Yes.
President.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. And then
And
for
also
my,
the flood control controversy, Mr. President. That's also another factor that is affecting our economy, Mr.
yes.
President.
Having said that, Mr. President, thank you for your candor and your honesty. May we know what the executive department is doing, the economic team, as interventions and measures to be able to grow our economy, although we know that the 7% is unachievable.
Mr. President, Secretary Recto mentioned that they're spending as programmed this year. And of course, they're doing catch-up programs also to spend as fast as they can before the end of the year, because government spending is one of the big contributors to our economy, Mr. President.
Yes, may we know what kind of government spending? Is it spending on infrastructure, and what kind of infrastructure, Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. President, infrastructure is definitely what's in the budget or the GA right now. They're aim to spend it as fast as they can in the next 2 months. So infrastructures, repair, rehabilitation, classrooms, everything in the GAA, Mr. President. So at the same time, they're also ramping up spending on the other programs in the government. So, meaning, Mr. President, they will drive the economic growth through efficient spending of resources in the last 2 months of the year, Mr. President. And of course, the biggest move will be regaining confidence to governance. So, Secretary Recto is very clear that by the end of the year, people will be put in jail because of the issue, Mr. President.
Thank you for that, Mr. President. I was once in your seat for 5 years, and I would always, of course, try to say that, yes, more school buildings are being built. Yes, DOTR is building the regional airports. Yes, they're building more roads and bridges. But really, Mr. President, we know the truth. And everyone who sits in this room know the truth that the slowness, I can't find, yung kabagalan po ng sistema ay talagang nandyan. So, I accept your answer because I would have answered the same if I were defending the budget. And our colleagues beside you in the executive would say the same. But when we speak to each other at the back, I see Senator Recto nodding, he would say, ang bagal talaga. I don't have to put into the record our frustration in our committee hearings. Senator Bam, in his frustration, saw how slow, almost nil, was the construction of classrooms. We know how probably frustrated the DBM secretary is because they thought by ramping up infrastructure spending, it would lead to a greater robust economy, but it did not happen. So, may we know how are we supposed to believe your answer, Mr. President, which I would have said myself?
That's an excellent question, Mr. President.
Yes.
In fact, when we were consolidating the budget, we were surprised that, for example, HFEP, yung Health Facilities and Enhancement Fund, we were surprised that to date, zero pa ho ang na-allocate doon sa pondo na about 40?
Tama po kayo. Yun po ang ibig kong sabihin na gusto kong marinig.
In terms of classroom, 22 pa lang ang nako-construct. In terms of health facilities, zero pa ho ang nako-construct. And end of the year na ho ngayon. No, so it's really, the spending is very dismal. And one of the things that we notice, alam niyo ho to, Mr. President, Senator Lauren, is all the construction are centralized to DPWH. No? Naka-centralize ho yan sa DPWH. So, yung transfer lang ho ng pondo, the transfer from DepEd